Parenting is already one of the toughest jobs in the world, but when your child struggles with attachment issues, it can feel like you're navigating a maze without a map. These attachment difficulties can leave children feeling insecure, anxious, and unable to trust others, and it can break your heart to see them struggle. But understanding what attachment issues are, why they occur, and how we can help our children heal can make all the difference. Let's take a closer look at what attachment issues mean, how they develop, and what you can do as a parent to create a more secure, loving environment for your child. Together, we'll uncover practical strategies and therapeutic insights to support your child's emotional growth. What are attachment issues? Attachment issues refer to difficulties in forming healthy emotional bonds, particularly during early childhood. When children experience challenges in bonding with their caregivers, they may struggle to feel safe, understood, or secure. This can manifest in various ways, from anxiety in social settings to intense fear of being abandoned. It's not just about being shy or cautious. Attachment issues run much deeper, affecting a child's ability to trust and build meaningful relationships throughout their lives. Attachment theory, introduced by psychologist John Bowlby, explains that children naturally seek comfort and security from their caregivers. When that bond is disrupted or inconsistent, it creates a ripple effect on how they view the world. Children with attachment difficulties often feel on edge, like they can never truly relax in their relationships. These feelings might not be something they can verbalize, but it shows up in their behavior, whether that's through withdrawal, clinginess, or even aggression. While the terms attachment issues and attachment disorders are sometimes used interchangeably, they aren't quite the same. Attachment issues encompass a broad range of difficulties that may not reach the level of a clinical disorder. For instance, a child might struggle with feeling secure in their relationships, but still function relatively well in school or other social settings. These challenges are often milder, more situational, and can sometimes improve with consistent care and support. On the other hand, attachment disorders are more severe and typically diagnosed by mental health professionals. Reactive attachment disorder, RAD, and disinhibited social engagement disorder, DSED, are two recognized conditions. According to the American Psychiatric Association, RAD is characterized by extreme withdrawal and emotional detachment, while DSED involves overly familiar behavior with strangers. These disorders stem from significant disruptions in early attachment, often due to neglect, abuse, or prolonged separations. Understanding the causes of attachment issues. Attachment issues don't appear out of nowhere. They develop over time, usually in response to a combination of environmental and genetic factors. As parents or caregivers, it's crucial to recognize that attachment difficulties are rarely the result of a single incident. Instead, they arise when a child's need for comfort, safety, and connection isn't consistently met. This inconsistency can happen even in well-meaning families, especially if the parents themselves are dealing with stress, mental health challenges, or other pressures. Consider a newborn who cries out of hunger, fear, or discomfort. If their caregiver responds consistently and lovingly, the infant learns to trust that their needs will be met. However, when these cries go unanswered or are met with frustration, the child may start to internalize a sense of insecurity. Over time, this can lead to an avoidant or anxious attachment style, where the child either pushes others away or becomes excessively clingy. The development of insecure attachment styles is a gradual process shaped by the child's experiences with their caregivers. Mary Ainsworth's strange situation experiment in the 1970s highlighted three main insecure attachment styles: anxious, avoidant, and disorganized. Each style reflects a different way of coping with inconsistent or harmful caregiving. Anxious attachment often emerges in children who experience unpredictable caregiving. One day, the parent might be loving and attentive, and the next, they may be emotionally distant. This inconsistency makes the child hypervigilant, always scanning for signs of rejection or abandonment. The result, they may become excessively clingy or demanding in their relationships, desperate for the reassurance they lacked early on. Avoidant attachment, on the other hand, develops in response to caregivers who are consistently neglectful or dismissive. Children with this attachment style learn to suppress their need for comfort because they expect their needs to be ignored. This self reliance might look like independence, but underneath, there's a deep fear of vulnerability. Disorganized attachment is the most complex and often results from trauma, such as abuse or severe neglect. Children with this style face a paradox. The very person they look to for comfort is also a source of fear. This creates confusion and chaos in their emotional world, leading to unpredictable and erratic behaviors. The debate of nature versus nurture plays a significant role in understanding attachment issues. Are children born with a predisposition to attachment difficulties, or do their environments shape these behaviors? The truth is, it's a bit of both. While genetics can influence a child's temperament, some kids are naturally more sensitive or anxious. The environment in which they are raised ultimately determines whether these traits become problematic. For example, a child with a genetic predisposition toward anxiety may thrive in a stable, nurturing environment. But if they experience neglect, inconsistency, or trauma, that anxiety could spiral into severe attachment issues. The interaction between genes and upbringing can explain why some children in the same family develop attachment difficulties while others do not. As Dr. Daniel Siegel, an expert in child psychology, notes, relationships are the crucible in which a child's brain and mind are shaped. This dynamic interplay means that even if a child starts with a genetic vulnerability, loving, consistent parenting can make all the difference. Conversely, a lack of emotional support can trigger attachment disorders, even in children without an inherent predisposition. Identifying attachment issues early on can make a world of difference. The signs can vary depending on the child's age, but they often revolve around difficulties with trust, communication, and emotional regulation. Young children might struggle to make eye contact, avoid physical touch, or become overly clingy with caregivers. Older kids may act out aggressively, have trouble making friends, or seem emotionally detached from those around them. It's not uncommon for these children to misinterpret social cues, either becoming too clingy or withdrawing completely when faced with conflict. Often, they fear rejection so intensely that they either push others away preemptively or become desperately needy. These behaviors aren't just phases, they're signs of a deeper struggle with attachment that needs attention. How attachment issues show up in older children. As children grow, attachment issues may become more pronounced, especially if left unaddressed. Older children and teenagers with attachment difficulties might exhibit defiance, trouble in school, or a pattern of unstable relationships. In some cases, they might refuse to trust adults, sabotaging their chances at forming meaningful connections. They may also engage in risky behaviors, driven by an underlying sense of worthlessness or insecurity. We often see these patterns in adolescents who seem to act out for attention. However, behind this behavior lies a deep-seated fear of abandonment. The need to be noticed can manifest as anger or defiance because, for these kids, even negative attention feels better than being ignored. Addressing these signs early can prevent a cycle of attachment difficulties that carries into adulthood. Therapy, a stable home environment, and a consistent support system can help these children rebuild the trust and security they missed in their early years. Parenting a child with attachment issues requires patience, consistency, and a deep well of compassion. It's not a sprint, but a marathon, and understanding this can help you pace yourself for the journey ahead. When your child struggles to trust, your love may not seem to get through at first. It can feel like pouring water into a sieve, exhausting and sometimes disheartening. But the truth is, every drop counts. Every small gesture of kindness, every moment of patience slowly begins to rebuild that trust. What's key here is to remember that attachment difficulties aren't personal attacks against you as a parent. They are defensive mechanisms your child developed to protect themselves from past pain. This is where your empathy and resilience will be put to the test, but with the right strategies, you can help your child begin to heal. Let's explore some concrete steps you can take to provide the emotional security they so desperately need. Tip 1. Emotionally prepare yourself. Before you can help your child, you need to prepare yourself emotionally. Parenting a child with attachment issues can be draining, especially if you are met with resistance or rejection. It's normal to feel frustrated, hurt, or even defeated at times, but acknowledging these feelings and not letting them define your actions is crucial. Make time for self-care, whether that's talking to a therapist, joining a support group, or simply allowing yourself to rest when you can. Remember, you can't pour from an empty cup. When you take care of your own mental health, you'll be better equipped to respond to your child's needs without becoming overwhelmed. As attachment expert, Dr. Karen Purvis said, "You need to bring a calm presence to your child's chaos. By staying grounded, you can provide the stable emotional anchor your child needs to start feeling secure." Tip 2. Establish stability and security. Children with attachment issues crave stability, but often lack the ability to trust that it's real. To build that trust, you need to create a safe, predictable environment. This doesn't mean you have to be perfect, far from it. What your child needs is consistency. Try to establish daily routines around meals, bedtime, and playtime. Knowing what to expect helps your child feel more secure, which can gradually reduce their anxiety. Consistency also applies to how you respond to their behaviors. If they act out or push your buttons, react with calmness and reassurance rather than frustration. It's not easy, especially when you're tired or stressed. But remember that your consistent, loving response helps rewrite the narrative in their minds. They're learning that you won't abandon them when things get tough. Physical touch, like hugs or holding hands, can also reinforce a sense of safety, though this may take time, especially if your child is initially resistant. Allow them to dictate the pace of physical affection. Over time, with enough stability and gentle reassurance, they may begin to soften, trusting that they are finally safe. Tip 3. Focus on your child's health. Often, when we think about attachment issues, we focus solely on the emotional and psychological aspects. But physical health plays a surprisingly large role in your child's ability to heal and feel secure. Regular exercise, a nutritious diet, and sufficient sleep can stabilize your child's mood, making them less prone to anxiety and emotional outbursts. It's about creating a holistic environment where your child can thrive, physically, mentally, and emotionally. Incorporate activities that encourage relaxation, like yoga or even simple breathing exercises, especially if your child tends to get overwhelmed easily. Sometimes physical touch, like a gentle back rub or holding their hand while they fall asleep, can work wonders. These small, consistent actions reassure your child that you're there for them, helping to rewire those neural pathways that were damaged by past trauma. Don't overlook the impact of sensory experiences. For children with attachment issues, sensory play, such as playing with clay, sand, or water, can provide comfort and help regulate emotions. It grounds them in the present moment, away from the anxieties that may haunt their thoughts. Tip 4. Make your child feel genuinely loved. At the end of the day, what every child needs most is to feel genuinely loved, not just in words, but through actions. Children with attachment issues often have a hard time believing that love is real or that it can last. So show them love in ways that feel tangible. This means being there, consistently, even when they're pushing you away. It's easy to love a child who's affectionate and grateful. It's much harder when they're distant or defiant, but that's when they need it the most. Express your love not just through big gestures, but also through the small moments that happen daily. A kind smile, listening without interrupting, or taking a few minutes to play their favorite game. These are the things that build trust over time. Let your actions do the talking, especially if your child has learned not to trust words. Remember, they might not always respond in the way you hope, but they're internalizing these acts of love more than you know. Over time, as your child starts to trust that your love is genuine and unwavering, you'll likely see a shift. It won't be an overnight transformation, but there will be moments, little glimmers, where you see that their walls are starting to come down. Hold on to those moments. They're signs of progress. Sometimes, despite your best efforts, the road to healing attachment issues can feel overwhelming. If you notice that your child's behaviors are escalating or not improving, it may be time to seek professional help. Therapists who specialize in attachment disorders can offer strategies and support that go beyond what you can provide at home. They can help your child process past traumas, develop healthier coping mechanisms, and learn to trust again. Therapies like trust based relational intervention, TBRI, or attachment focused family therapy can be particularly effective. These approaches focus on building trust, addressing past traumas, and fostering secure attachments. A trained therapist can guide you through exercises designed to strengthen the bond between you and your child. Medication is sometimes recommended for children with severe attachment disorders, especially if they're experiencing co-occurring issues like anxiety or depression. This is always a personal decision that should be made in consultation with a mental health professional. However, with the right support, many children with attachment issues can heal, grow, and go on to form healthy, fulfilling relationships.